Sometimes you finish an anime and you can't stop thinking about the characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And today, we're diving deep into one of those characters, Ai Amano from Video Girl A.
Oh, great choice.
And get this,
Mm-hmm.
we're using the Enneagram to really understand her personality.
Oh, interesting. I like that.
Yeah, it's a different lens, right?
Yeah.
So you've been exploring this, and you're really curious about whether AI fits into the type 2, specifically the sexual 2 subtype.
Yes, I think there's something there.
Right, let's break it down.
Okay.
So for anyone who needs a refresher, the Enneagram is all about these 9 personality types, each with their own motivations and fears and ways of seeing the world. It's really interesting stuff.
It is.
And you picked up on something really fascinating about AI, her actions. They kind of line up with this idea of a type 2, what they often call the helpers.
Right.
Always caring, putting everyone else first. Does that resonate?
Absolutely. I mean, that's AI to a T. The core desire of a 2 is that feeling of being loved and needed, and how do they show it? Acts of service. Which, when you think about AI and Yoda and her dedication to his happiness, I mean, it really tracks, doesn't it?
Totally. I mean, she's willing to disappear, to literally cease existing, if it means Yoda will be happy. That's commitment.
Right. Talk about going above and beyond.
And it's not just the huge sacrifices. You pointed out how perceptive AI is, how empathetic she is. Even in those small, everyday moments, she just seems to get people, especially when they're hurting. And that kind of emotional intelligence, that's classic type 2.
Absolutely. It's part of what makes them so magnetic, you know? But here's where the sexual 2 subtype gets really interesting. Unlike some 2s who might be more withdrawn, the sexual 2, they seek that connection in a more assertive way. Even, dare I say, possessive.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So it's not just about selfless giving. There's this need to be wanted, almost like their worth depends on it.
Exactly. And this is where things get really interesting with AI and Yoda. Think about it. She's devoted, yes, but she also kind of steers him towards what she thinks is best, even manipulating situations to get that outcome she wants.
It's almost like she's pulling the strings from behind the scenes.
Right.
It's interesting because she's clearly caring, she's supportive, but she's also capable of this quiet manipulation.
Yeah.
And this is where I think that servant mistress analogy you mentioned comes into play, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Right, like that servant mistress thing, that's
Yeah.
super interesting. Can you unpack that a little more?
Oh, totally. It's this classic archetype. You see it a lot in theater, especially commedia dell'arte.
Okay.
Like Columbina is a great example. She's a servant, right? But she's clever, resourceful. She uses her position to kind of nudge things in the direction she wants.
Oh, I see. Like manipulating people, but usually with good intentions.
Exactly. For the good of the house, you know.
So Ai's like a modern day Columbina. She's there for Yoda, but there's this deeper need for control.
Right. And it all comes back to understanding the sexual, too. It's not just about helping. It's craving that deep connection, being essential to the other person.
It makes sense, but doesn't that sound like it could go sideways
Oh.
pretty easily?
Oh, absolutely. Double-edged sword. It can come from a good place, real love and care, but then there's codependency. Their whole sense of self gets all wrapped up in the other person.
And you were saying that's a big part of AI's story. She gets her self-worth from Yoda, which, I mean, you get it, but it's still kind of sad.
It is sad, especially when you think about the whole premise of the anime. She's a video girl. She exists to fulfill his needs.
It's almost like the anime itself is this commentary on relationships, the intense love, being scared to be alone, that codependency, it's all there, even though it's, a fantasy world.
Absolutely. That's what's so cool about using the Enneagram with a character like AI. You see these really human struggles, even though she's not technically human.
It's that extra layer, right? Is she choosing things purely out of love for Yoda? Or is it more about her own need to, even exist? Because her existence depends on him.
It's the question, isn't it? And there's no easy answer. But it makes her and her whole story just that much more compelling.
It's like they took this totally out there idea, a video girl coming to life, and then they were like, let's make it about real relationship stuff.
Right. And it works because she's a great character. Hei's not just like this perfect fantasy girl. She's got flaws. She can be manipulative, insecure.
Yeah, and that whole running away to Hokkaido thing, not exactly a green flag, but somehow she's still so loving. You want her to be happy, even when she's making kind of messed up choices.
Exactly. It's that mix, you know? Vulnerable, but strong,
Yeah.
complex. It makes her feel real, even though technically she's not.
So we've covered a lot, the Enneagram Type 2 in general. What makes the sexual two different, that servant mistress idea?
And how it all, like, shines a light on AI, her
Hmm.
motivations, what she's good at, those vulnerabilities we were talking about.
It's a whole new way of seeing her, right? Yeah. So I'm curious, what was the biggest aha moment for you? Connecting this Enneagram stuff to AI's character, I mean.
You know, it really hit home for me that it's so easy to just watch and be like, oh, it's so selfless. She's all about Yoda. But with the sexual two lens, it's like, wait, those same behaviors, they could be coming from this deeper place, needing love, needing to be needed, way more complex and honestly, kind of more human.
It's like that saying, everyone's fighting a battle you know nothing about. We've all got our stuff, those hidden things driving us, even if nobody else sees it.
And sometimes, even we don't see it, right? At least not at first.
So big picture. After all this, how do you see AI's actions now? Did anything change for you? Makes you think, right? About love, sacrifice, all that. Maybe even about your own life. Something to ponder as you rewatch Video Girl AI. Or, hey, maybe start analyzing other anime characters this way. It's pretty fun. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. It's been awesome exploring this with you.